Parshat Yitro. The revelation at Sinai is at the heart of this week's Parsha. From the opening verse in Parshat Shmot, the Jewish people were marching towards physical liberation and purposeful living. The apex of the Egyptian exodus is reached with the giving of the Torah at Sinai in our Parsha. The first of the Ten Commandments recalls that God took the Jews out of Egypt to set their course to become an independent, autonomous, and proud nation. The earlier commentators, the Rishonim, comment on this introduction to the Ten Commandments. For some, it is a proclamation of faith which precedes the acceptance of Torah and a commitment to mitzvot, similar to the way the first line of Shema precedes the subsequent paragraphs of Shema. For others, the first verse of the narrative is a validation of God's prowess and, by extension, a recognition of creation. An additional way of understanding this first verse is recorded by the Ramban, Nachmanides, who explains that the verse is a positive commandment, a mitzvah aseh, to believe in God. From an educational perspective, the verse has great significance. Rashi highlights that God is described in the Torah by several manifestations. God is at once a warrior at the sea, is the God of mercy and justice in Egypt, and God is the inexplicable image at the burning bush. Since there are variant descriptions of the Creator, one could mistakenly conclude, comments Rashi, that there are multiple deities. Therefore, the revelation at Sinai comes to proclaim that the different revelations all radiate from the same source. They are all manifestations of God. They are unified. Using a philosophical term, Rashi is describing monism. Interpreting this Rashi could take several directions, but I would like to focus on the theme Rabbi Soloveitchik presents. The Mishnah in Sanhedrin highlights that no two people are alike. Despite that we follow the same path of creation, we're all different in character, demeanor, and appearance. The limitless scope of character and the broad range of personal differences attest to the mystery of creation and the boundlessness of God. The Mishnah frames this issue to teach us that just as we are different from one another, we are all born with specific purposes. However, our differences can relate to an educational value embedded in this verse. Although the Torah expects consistency in observance, no two people's appreciation for and observance of mitzvot will be the same. Because we are all different, we must find our personal religious connection to Torah. God appeared through multiple manifestations to create portals and opportunities for people to connect to the Creator based on their own proclivities. Inspiration to believe in and follow the tenets and teachings of the Torah requires that we each find our own window to understand the value of Torah and take meaning from its messages. Once we identify our personal connection to belief and to Torah, we connect as a community by way of observance and study. Just as we are all different, God provides multiple manifestations for inspiration. Rabbi Soloveitchik explains the multiple pathways to Torah observance that have been developed and have evolved over the centuries. Lithuanian cognitive Torah study, or spiritual and mystical teachings, or expressing kindness and outreach to others are just some of the inspirational ways that we find our connections to Torah. Parenthetically, this idea is an important guidepost for creating meaningful educational institutions. When thinking about yeshivot, we must provide for our students who have different perspectives and considerations with religious instruction that is informed by different personas of Torah observance. This explanation could shed light on a term used in our Shabbat tefillah, V'tein chalkeinu b'toratecha, give us a portion of the Torah. We ask God to help us identify the particular area of Torah which best speaks to us, and by the way of connecting to our own personal message, we can engage the entirety of Torah observance. Thus, the first verse of the Ten Commandments, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeticha mi'eretz Mitzrayim, I took you out of Egypt, is an invitation to each and every one